So, hello everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar. Before I will start, please note that feel free to ask any question during this session using the Q&A chat box. We will have some time by the end of this session to answer all the questions. So I think that we can start. So the purpose of this webinar today is to go over the Security Service Pack initiative that we launched recently within Allot. I will go over the presentation and share with you some insight about the Security Service Pack. We will start with a quick overview about Allot Security Software Development Life Cycle, so we'll understand exactly how the Security Service Pack initiative is compatible with the SSDLC. I will speak a little bit about the Allot Common Platform, or the ACP, which is like the underlying infrastructure layer for which we are hosting all the application of Allot. And then we will see exactly how the Security Service Pack is motivated to deal with security vulnerabilities around the ACP. Okay, so let's dive into it. So a little bit about myself. So my name is Ami Barayev, and I'm leading the product management for the enterprise segment, and as well I'm also responsible for the application security within Allot. I will be the webinar host for this session. I'm within Allot for 3 years now, and I've been in the tech business or the tech industry for over 15 years now. So, secure software development life cycle is not a new discipline. It's something that most organizations are already using. The main purpose of secure software development life cycle, or SSDLC, is to integrate security controls with each part of the development process. The motivation is that once you develop a software code, you want to make sure that in any part of the software development lifecycle, if it's from the requirement analysis and with the design, the development, and the testing, for each one of these parts, security will be implemented, security controls, security policy, security best practices. And this is something that we at Allot are doing for many years. And I wanted to go very briefly around this concept, because you will understand exactly how the Security Service Pack is going to be part of the SSDLC process. So if I will zoom in and we'll go very briefly about the SSDLC process. So it starts with the requirement analysis. So usually when we are working on a new software release, software version, we gather requirements from our customers, and then we try also to think about the secure nature of these features. We want to develop them in the best practice security controls. So from this stage of the requirement analysis, we also consider a lot of, we are putting a lot of emphasis on security, which brings us to the second phase, or the second step with the SSDLC, which is the design. So once the feature is being introduced, we are in the design phase. So during the design phase, we have our security architect who are escorting the R&D team in order to develop the features using the best practice security controls. And then once we have the feature in development and the R&D people are working on it, we put some code quality assurance using a static code analysis. This is another tool which basically check in real time what the developers are coding, and if there are some suspicious or some code which isn't developed according to the best practice guidelines. So we have tools which can alert and can assist the developer to fix or to mitigate the development in such early stage. The main motivation of the SSDLC is to develop the code in such way that it will be secure as in an early stage of the development as possible. This is why we have a lot of controls and tools in order for us to find such considerations of security in an early stage of the development. So once we have the code ready, we have another set of mechanism or tools which assist us in order to check if the software is without any security vulnerabilities. Some of the tools that we're using is Nessus vulnerability scanners and the Aqua, which is being used for the containerized releases. And we're using also the CIS benchmark, which is also known in the industry, to see that our environment, our entire environment is also secured in terms of the OS configuration. So this is like the internal thing that we're doing internally within Allot. Once the product is released, we have also some network hardening or some thing that we can do post-release. For example, customers are running a penetration test on the system or compliance. So this is part of some of the things that usually customers are doing when they release the solution. Why I'm telling you all of this? Because the nature or the focus of the security service pack is to deal with security vulnerabilities, not only once Allot develop the product or you're using the development lifecycle, but during the ongoing lifecycle of the product. So we want to provide security fixes once the product is released, once the product is deployed at our customers. So this is the main motivation of the security service pack: how to provide rapid security fixes to deployment which are already deployed at the customer premises. Okay, so this is the main scope of the security service pack, and it's part of our entire SSDLC process. So just to understand the concept of where the security service pack is affecting, I would like to go very briefly about our solution architecture, which is in a very, very high level. So you can see in these diagrams that we have the hardware layer. The hardware layer is, as you know, our platforms or servers. It can be the ACGs or the SSGs or the service gateway. This is the platform that Allot are selling and providing to our customers. On top of the hardware, there is the OS layer. The OS layer is the underlying infrastructure on which we can deploy all the different applications that Allot provide. The different application can be the Net Explorer, the SMP, ClearC, DSC, and so on. So this is like in a very, very high level, the architecture of Allot solution. If I will zoom in specifically on the OS layer, which is based on the Allot Common Platform, you will see that the Allot Common Platform is our infrastructure or OS layer for which we deploy our solution. The ACP is based on a CentOS Linux OS. We are taking this Linux distribution, we're adding our own packages, libraries, doing all the customization, and then we provide this Allot Common Platform. And this is, as I mentioned, the underlying infrastructure that hosting all the different applications. The ACP is used for our bare metal deployments using the servers that I mentioned before, and also for the virtualized editions. Need to understand that the ACP is not being used in the containerized edition that we have. Allot solution is based on the bare metal platforms, virtualized edition that can be deployed over any hypervisor, but we also have a different or additional deployment model using the containerized edition using Kubernetes, and the ACP is not part of that solution. So I wanted to emphasize about the ACP because you will see that the security service pack is going to mitigate vulnerabilities in the ACP layer or the OS layer. Why is it so important? Because if you will see what are the different CVEs that are published on a daily basis, you will see that there are a lot of CVEs. Only in 2022, there were over 25,000 different CVEs that were detected and published. I'm sure that there are many others which are not detected and they are still like in 0 days phase. But if you will zoom in, into the different vulnerabilities that are targeting only the OS, and in this example, the Linux OS, you will see that there are like around hundreds of CVEs that are being detected and fixed on a yearly basis, on a monthly basis. The main purpose of the Security Service Pack is to tackle these Linux OS vulnerabilities. Okay, so we want to make sure that once a Allot product is being deployed, once it's been installed at the customer premises, we want to provide in a constant way a security service pack that will mitigate the vulnerabilities around the operating system level, and in our case is the ACP, which I mentioned before. So what is basically the security service pack? The security service pack is our ability to provide rapid security fixes to all the smart components. I mentioned it before. We have the bare metal with all the different platforms that we have. We have the virtualized edition. All of them are based on the ACP, and we want to provide rapid fixes for such vulnerabilities that are being discovered. We are doing it on a monthly basis. Okay, so the SSP initiative started on January of this year, and from January each month we release a new security service pack, and I will share with you some more information about it in a minute. You need to understand that each ACP or each security service pack that we are releasing, it's a cumulative, which means that if now you have a deployment with a Allot solution and you have an ACP which is like a few months ago, a few years ago, you can just take the latest ACP that we have, and you don't need to run all the different releases that we released in the past few months. If you are taking the latest ACP, it means that you have the latest and greatest updates, so you don't need to go and configure or to employ or to deploy each one of the ACP that were released in the previous month. Okay, so just take the latest and you are covered. I mentioned it, and it's important to understand that the SSP supports a smart bare metal and virtualized editions. The containerized edition, it's not yet part of the SSP initiative. We plan to introduce it later on. It's important to understand that the security service pack covers vulnerabilities in the operating system level, which means that if there are vulnerabilities in the application level, the SSP will not be able to mitigate them. We will need to provide a new software version using an ERT, and then such vulnerabilities will be mitigated. So usually the way that we are working in Allot is that every few months there is like a maintenance or an ERT release on specific versions that cover security vulnerabilities, fixes, maintenance, bugs fixes, and so on. And in order to mitigate the ongoing security vulnerabilities that are detected and are published in the operating system level, this is something that we can provide in frequent monthly releases. And this is very important also for our customers. So, you know, as an IT manager, you can prepare for it, you can plan for it, you can, for example, schedule a maintenance windows that every month or every 2 months. It's up to you to decide if you want to implement each one of the security service pack. But from Allot perspective, you can assure that every month there will be a release which consists on the available security fixes on the operating system level. Okay. And this is what I mentioned. If there are vulnerabilities that are derived from the application layer, it will not be addressed using the SSP, and then you just need to wait for the next ERT or maintenance release that is associated with the software versions that you have. Okay, so I mentioned that we started the Security Service Pack initiative in January. So once we released it in the first time, you can see here that it was released in January. With every security service pack, we add a security fix note, which is like the release notes of the release. And then you can see what is the coverage of the SSP. And you can see that in the initial version, we supported only the service gateway and NX and SMP components from specific release. For example, only release 16.5 was supported. And then a month later, in the February release, we introduced a new security service pack. Okay, 21 CVEs were fixed in this release, and we added some more components. The SSG 200 and SSG 500 were added. And this is what we did in the past few months. Each release added its own security fixes and the additional components. The reason that we're doing today this webinar is that we finally reached to a point that we cover the entire portfolio of Allot Smart components, which means that our entire component from the service gateway to the NX, to the data mediator, the ClearC, the DSC, DM, all of the components are now fully covered using the Security Service Pack and the compatible software releases. So you can see here that the 16.5, which is the GA version, and 17.3, which is the GA version for enterprise, are covered in this SSP, which means that every customer who already have this deployment in his field can easily just go into the, we have all the SSP materials available in the customer portal, in the partners portal. Everything is available. You can just open the security fix notes, download the ISO files that contain the ACP, deploy it in your system, and you will gain the latest fixes. And we'll make sure that we're not changing or impacting in any of the functionality of the solution, which means that you just need to update the ACP on the environment. And this is an operation that takes around between 10 to 20 minutes. And then you are getting the latest and greatest security fixes for the operation, for the ACP level. Okay, so I want to touch very quickly about how you implement the Security Service Pack. So for the techies guys that are in this webinar, so if you're already familiar with Allot system, so it's very easy. You just need to log in into the component using the CLI command. There are some pre-upgrade commands that you need to run, but the experience is no change from any ACP upgrades. So you just need to download in advance the ISO file that containing the latest ACP, run these prerequisite commands, and then there is something that I want to emphasize on, that there is a differentiation between performing the ACP upgrade on components, on management components, and for the AOS, for the platforms or for the SGVE part. Okay, and the main difference is that for the management component, we are upgrading all of the packages and all the libraries that are available. But for the AOS components, we are upgrading all except for the kernel updates. Usually the kernel updates are something that are more strict and require some more testing and compatibility, and we don't want to impact or to change any compatibility, and we want to make sure that everything will work as expected. So this is why we made this differentiation. So you just need to remember, the ones that are going to do it in the field, that once you are launching the ACP upgrade script, you will need to use the parameter either SSP or SSPK. SSPK means with kernel packages, and the SSP without the K means that it basically covers everything. Okay, so once you run this command, it will take a few minutes, and then you will see exactly after the system will boot that you have the latest ACP and the parameter that you used, either SSP or SSPK. So the experience of doing the ACP upgrade for the Security Service Pack is very straightforward for the people that are already familiar with our solution. It's very quickly you can do it. Just bear in mind that you need to prepare a maintenance window, because the ACP upgrade require restart or reboot of the device, and the entire process can take between 10 to 20 minutes. Okay, so I gather here some few questions that we already got from previous customers. So it's a good opportunity to share with you like the questions and me to answer it. So the first question: do we need to pay for the Security Service Pack? Does it cost any money, any additional cost? So the answer is no. As long as you have a valid support service, you can download the SSP from the customer portal, and you can implement it. It's very similar to the way that we provide the protocol pack definitions every 2 weeks. So every 1 month, you can prepare to get the security service pack to mitigate security issues. So there is no additional charge, no additional cost. It's part of the service offering that we are providing to you, to our customers. Second question, can you make customization to the ACP, like the protocol pack, for example? The answer is no. There is no customization. Once you download the latest ACP, you need to deploy it in the network. Bear in mind just to use the correct parameter that I mentioned before. If you are using the upgrade for the management component or for the AOS component, there is with a different parameter. This is the only thing, or the only consideration that you need to consider. Is the security fix released on a fixed pace? And as I mentioned, the answer is yes. You already saw that from January, every month we release the security service pack, and we are going to continue to do it in the following month. And we plan also to introduce some new capabilities to support additional software releases. So we are all the time enhancing and progressing the security service pack coverage. Okay, the only one case for which maybe we will not release an SSP is that if, for example, in a specific month there is no update from the community, from the OS stream that we're using, nothing were fixed in this month, so probably there will not be an SSP in this specific month, but it will be in the following one. For example, if I will go very quickly on the previous slide that I shared, you can see here that for example, that once we released the security service pack in February, there was 21 CVEs that were fixed. Okay, but in May, there was only single CVE. So we are aligning ourselves to the industry, to the community. So once there is a fix available for the operating system, we will use it. So usually our cadence is that by the 15th of each month, we are closing the ACP. Okay, so if there is a fix available by the time that we close the ACP, it will be implemented. If there are no fixes, we will just wait for the following month. But from the past experience, we saw that almost in every month there is something, so you can expect that you will get an SSP on a monthly basis. Okay. Okay, what are the implications for the customers? Meaning how much time the patch takes, do you need to make some maintenance window and so on? So the answer is yes. When you are updating the ACP, it requires a reboot. You need to prepare for it, you need to plan for it, you need to plan a maintenance window. Okay, as I mentioned, there are no implications for the system functionality. We make sure that we have like all the automations running in our back office to make sure that once we are providing a new security service pack, we are testing it, we are performing the upgrade, we are making sure that none of the functionality, or we are making sure that all of the functionality will remain after we implement the security service pack. And it's, as the name presents, it's only security fixes, and we're not touching in any way the functionality of the device. And as I mentioned, this operation can take between 10 to 15 to 20 minutes. This is usually how much time that it takes. All of the information is available in the customer space, so you can just log into the customer space. We introduced a new security service pack link. We are updating it on a monthly basis, so once there is a new security service pack, it will be updated. And as I mentioned, if now you want to implement or take a security service pack, you don't need to take all the previous releases. You can just grab the latest and greatest. It already consists all of the fixes that we have until now. Okay. By the way, it's not available yet in the partners portal. We will add it shortly, but in the customer space, it's available. and the links will go will take you directly to the security fix notes or the release notes, and in the release notes you will have the link to download the ACP ISO file. Okay, so it's very straightforward, very simple. I encourage you to start using it. We already have some customers that are already using it, and we have very good feedback around it. From our perspective, it's something that until now wasn't available. Until now, the way that we deal with providing security fixes was only by providing a new ERT, a new maintenance release. The maintenance release cadence takes much more time to be released to the market every few months. But with the security service pack, you have much more rapid and constant and immediate fixes. So once there is a new threat or a new vulnerability detected, you can rest assured that it will be fixed in the upcoming security service pack. So this is our approach to deal with the security vulnerabilities in the operating system level. I'm sure that our customer, you guys, will appreciate it. You can prepare for it. You can set up your own cadence. For example, you can see in the release note, okay, oh, there is only one CVE fix and it's a medium severity, so I can wait for the next one. So it's totally up to you to decide if you are going to adopt it on a monthly basis or not. But from Allot perspective, you can rest assured that we will provide it on a monthly basis, and you can choose when and how to utilize it. Okay, so this was my session about the security service pack. I hope that you enjoyed it, and there are time for a Q&A. I see that there are already few questions, so let me try to answer them. Okay, so the first question. SSB need to upgrade for AGM and SSGs. Okay, so this is a good question. So for now, the AGM is not supported yet. Also not the ACG. It's the platforms that are covered are the SSGs and the service gateway. We do plan to support in the upcoming month also the ACG and the AGM. So this is coming. Okay, next question. If enter the parameter incorrectly, would the script provide the warning message and stop the SSP upgrade? No. So you need to understand and you need to have full control of what you are doing. Okay, you can run a complete ACP upgrade. You can run the upgrade only with the specific parameters. So once you run the command, you need to understand and you need to know what is your location, if you are upgrading now the AOS part or the management component part. Okay, so this is the responsibility of the admin or anyone who is working on the device to use the correct parameters. Next question. Any update path need to follow if customer using version 16.5? So this is a good question, and 16.5 is already part of the supported versions that are qualified for using the SSP. So 16.5 and 17.3 are fully qualified to use the security service pack. Okay, next question. If we install the latest ACP, do we get the latest version of ACP? So the answer is yes. If you are using the latest ACP, basically SSP is an ACP with only security fixes updates. So usually if you are doing a complete ACP upgrade, it contains additional fixes or additional, configuration changes within the ACP. Okay, so it's either you're doing a complete ACP or you are doing ACP with the SSP parameter, which deals only with security fixes. But a simple answer to the question is if you are taking the latest ACP, it already contains also the fixes that are coming with the security service pack. Okay, we have another question. Our customer is using a fixed version of the ACP according to the software compatibility, which is 16.5.10 and ACP 17.3.2. Do you recommend to upgrade the ACP with SSP? The answer is yes, yes, yes. If you have a customer and this customer is based on ACP, which is very old, 17.13.2 is ACP from 2 years ago. There are like, I don't know, like over 100 CVEs that were fixed. You can rest assured you can take the latest ACP with the latest SSP, deploy it, and you will fix the majority of the vulnerabilities. And we already saw it in the field. This is the way to mitigate security vulnerabilities. The main purpose of the SSP is to tackle exactly this point. Okay, this is the case where a customer have a system which is like 2 years old, and if you will take the latest SSP, it will cover the most of the vulnerabilities that are available. So I strongly recommend to do it. Another question, any issue if we only upgrade the SSG, but AGM will still using off version? So if I understand correctly the question, so you want to upgrade the SSG, which is okay, and the AGM will running on the old version. Yeah, it will run. There is no problem because we are not changing the software or the functionality of the device. In this example, for example, the SSG will still be in version 16.5 or 17.3. It will be with the latest ACP, and the AGM will be based on the current version. So there is no problem at all. We can do it. Can we roll back the previous SSP version in case the customer find abnormal behavior? So the answer is yes. Basically, since you can just reinstall a different ACP version and basically will run over the new ACP that's been deployed. Okay, so there is no problem to convert back to the ACP that was used before. Okay, is Log4j taken into account by SSP? This is a very good question. The Log4j was never part of the ACP, so it couldn't be mitigated using the SSP. But we know that we had the Log4j, for example, in the NX, which was fixed in 17.1, and a different component, it was fixed in different versions. So Log4j, specifically Log4j, was not a package that was part of the ACP. As so, the SSP cannot fix it. So in order to mitigate or in order to fix Log4j, you just need to take a later or a newer software version of the application. For the NX, as I mentioned, it's from version 17.1, and for other components, it's different versions. I don't remember it by heart, but definitely it's not part of the ACP. Okay. Any more questions? Okay, so I think that we can conclude this webinar. I would like to thank you very much for joining. I encourage you to log into the customer space, check out the latest security service packs that are available. If your customers, your deployment is compatible with the SSP, take the latest, deploy it. It will fix the majority, if not all, the open security vulnerabilities. At least for the operating system level, for sure it will fix everything. We will continue, of course, releasing on a monthly basis the security service pack. We introduced some additional software releases for the compatibility. We will introduce also the support for the ACG and the AGM later on. So just follow up the monthly releases, and you will know exactly what is the status, what is going on. But I think that the main point is that now you have much more visibility, you have much more control about when and how you want to mitigate security vulnerabilities. So similar to the patch Tuesdays that you have from Microsoft, now on a monthly basis, by the end of each month, you can expect to get the security service pack from Allot. Okay, so that's it. Thank you very much, and have a good day.